being here for part of quorum right now. So we do have quorum. So can someone volunteer to do the minutes? It's not me or apparently Alex. Or Kristen or Roger. Would that be possible? Since none of our normal helpers are here.
Yes, I can take minutes.
Awesome. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, thanks. So let's call the meeting to order at 6:03. Okay, perfect. Public comment. Does anyone have a public comment for someone that's not on the agenda? Public comment for not on the agenda. Okay. Any additional items to the agenda to add? Everything's gonna fit, okay? And then doing a review and approve the minutes. Since we do have a slight quorum, we're allowed to approve the minutes from March 13th.
Was that
motion?
He wants to approve them. Anyone else want to approve them?
Was the edit made that you talked about?
Was the edit made?
That was in the email.
I'm sorry, who made the first motion?
I made
Alex
that
made you approve it, and then we had a question
Sorry.
of whether or not the edit was in there. And we can make a note that it's approved with the caveat that it has the edit.
Cool.
Does that sound okay?
Second.
Okay, seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes with the edit? Okay, any other ayes, I guess? Kristen, you want to vote on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll approve
Aye.
the minutes. Beautiful. Okay. Great. And then any correspondence?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got correspondence?
There was I'm not sure, not looking at it right now, whether this went to everybody, says it may have, but the note about sharing Sue Morse's video about habitat connectivity and asking if we had weighed in regarding the hogback trails. I thought onto that in some way. I wasn't quite sure how to word that, but I think we should.
We did get an email to a large group of people on the Timberlands Multi-Use Trail Partnership Project. I don't know if we needed to have any action on that, though.
I was gonna just review it during that part of the agenda.
He seemed to be asking if we would, if I was understanding her correctly, if we would pass along this video of Sue Morse's, and I thought that merited a response of some sort, but not quite sure what.
Okay.
Where?
Yeah, okay, let's talk about that under the Timberlands Multi-Use Trail Partnership, but that sounds perfect. We also got a long email from the rec department about things happening on the town green. We can talk about that for parks updates, I think. Right? Okay, sounds good. Thank you for remembering all this. I never remember correspondence. It's like a whole month of remembering, you know. New business, there's no official new business, so we can move to old business then. Okay, so let's talk about BCC membership. We currently have 2 vacancies. Helen Young has retired from the commission, as she warned us she would for some time, and so we wish her luck on that. And thank her for her service. She did so much great work. We're gonna really miss her. And then Noelle had only recently joined, but realized that her schedule no longer permit her to fill that role that she had hoped to fill. So her spot is also vacant. I sent out an email through from Porch Forum, and then we had the agenda go out where it mentioned that as well. And we had 3 people reply to that, and 2 of those people are with us tonight. And so what we were hoping to do is maybe just do some introductions with prospective new people and talk about the process for how you would become a member where you want to after you watched one of our meetings. And to be honest, a lot of people have come to one meeting and be like, nah. So it's all good if you decide that's going to be the case for you. So would anyone like to go first? We have 2 people here, Nikki and Kieran, I think.
Hi. So I don't know all of what this entails. Could you give me more details?
We were just hoping if you could just introduce yourselves to us.
Oh yeah.
Just so you know
Hi.
who you are, and if you're a Bristol resident is what are the important things we need to make sure of? And then beyond that, just, yeah, who you are, why you want to be involved, and we can just start having a conversation.
Okay, cool. Hi. My name is Nikki Bellinger. I live on Lovers Lane in Bristol. I'm very interested in nature conservation. I actually just put window decals so that I don't have birds window strikes. And I want to do whatever I can to help the community with nature conservation.
That sounds great. Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Nikki?
I think we should just do general introductions.
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Karen
Okay.
looks ready to go.
Karen looks ready to go. Let's do it.
I apologize in advance. I woke up this morning with a bit of a sore throat that's only gotten worse. So if I burst into a coughing fit, please forgive me. My name's Kieran. I've lived in Bristol for amazingly 10 years now. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I live on Pine Street in the village. I've worked in conservation and environmental issues my whole life. I founded an organization called the Whale and Dolphin Conservation Society when I was 19. And then after that, I went to join Greenpeace, and I spent my 20s chasing Japanese whaling fleets around the Antarctic. And now have a somewhat more sedentary life. I'm a freelance writer, mostly on environmental and science issues. I write for National Geographic, among others. Written a couple of books, spend a lot of time in the Arctic, and I have a book about the Arctic coming out next month. And I just feel ready. I wanted to feel like I'd earned my stripes from living in the village, right? Before I felt like I needed to be in a position where I'd been here long enough to be able to justify involving myself in the community. And it's definitely time. I feel I've enjoyed very much living in this community. I would love to be able to start giving some things back. And when I saw Carolyn's note on Front Porch Forum, I thought that this would be a real opportunity potentially. So I'm certainly very interested in hearing about your work and seeing if maybe I could be suitable for you.
That sounds great. We're gonna skip questions. That was a good suggestion. So that sounds wonderful. So I'm so glad you both are interested in the work we're doing. And so I think I sent you a link to our web page, and there's some information. There's past agendas and minutes. There's the annual reports. That's probably the best thing to look at, as well as some other bylaws and things, information. So we have 2 spots open. So there's on the, you're both on Zoom. I can't talk and stuff, but I'll look it up later when someone else is talking, and I'll put the link on the chat to the volunteer form for you, unless someone else can do that at the same time I'm talking. And so that volunteer form is something you fill out. It's pretty quick. It just asks some basic information about who you are, and you give it to, I believe, the town clerk. And then once they have that information, the town administrator will help you get onto the select board agenda. They'll ask you to introduce yourselves, and then it's their decision if they want to appoint you or not. And so lots of little steps, but doesn't usually take so long. And hopefully you could be a member if you're interested by the next meeting in May. We meet the 2nd Thursday of the month from 6 to hopefully 7:30. Unless we have a long one, we have to go a little over. I try to run a tight ship, although it's the annual meeting, so maybe it's someone else's ship now, No? Well, we'll see. Okay, so great. So let's see. Questions? Seem good?
That's good.
Okay, that sounds great. And then I think you have to be a resident to be a member, and then if you miss 3 consecutive meetings, you can be removed by the select board, but that's pretty rare. Or 3, I think it's 3 unexcused consecutive meetings. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, something happened.
Yeah, it's pretty
Like
hard.
3 no-shows.
Yeah, 3 just ghostings. Yeah.
At that point, you quit. Really,
Yeah,
you
dipped out for sure.
And then we do different events and volunteer to do things and have our meetings. Okay, are we good with the membership stuff for now? Yeah. Okay, great. So let's move on to our annual meeting, which is a little bit tricky because we did have, I'm not quite sure where some of our members are tonight. I didn't receive any emails saying they weren't coming. I can look at my phone. So I don't know exactly. We're a little bit low. We're missing 3 people, which is a lot. 3.
Zaley is with both kids at the moment and may or may not be tuning in, but I would imagine not. We're not able to get childcare tonight.
Sure, yeah. So we're supposed to vote on officers for the annual meeting right now. And I don't know what's fair to do that, if we can vote for people in abstention or not. Krista, how do you feel with that?
When she was saying that she wasn't going to be there at the beginning, she said, "Don't let them make me the clerk." So
Someone has to do it.
I'm okay with making her the clerk. I'm just saying what she said to me.
Well, it's just, we could kick the can on the clerk if we have to, or vice chair or chair, but I think we're supposed to hold an annual meeting tonight. So Kristen, what are your thoughts?
My thought was tabling until next month when we have a more robust membership represented.
Okay, that sounds good. Anyone else want to table that? Would like to make a motion to table that?
That also opens up the possibility that one of our new friends will want to be the clerk.
Oh, that's so Machiavellian.
Maybe.
I love that. Okay, well, I don't see any reason why we couldn't table it. I just don't, because the annual meeting, I don't know if there's a special rule. It does say in our bylaws, we're supposed to hold a meeting tonight to elect officers, but I think we're probably okay if we table it for lack of low membership. That seems fine to me. How do we feel with that? Do you want to make a motion? Do you make a motion to make it official?
Is that my connection?
I can make a motion that we table the annual meeting until May.
Beautiful. I like to second that. Great. Alex seconds. All those in favor of tabling the annual meeting till May?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. So the motion carries, and we will have that annual meeting next month. Thank you. Okay, so move on then. Wildlife Corridor Project, discuss next steps. I had sent everyone, for people that are new, this project has been ongoing for a couple of years now. We've been working in conjunction with the Middlebury College environmental studies students. We've been having them come on as independent studies students that have worked with me. I'm a professor at Middlebury College in the biology department, and we've had students work independent studies. We've had students work with our colleague Alexis Mikhailo, who's a wildlife biologist. She's a mammologist specifically. So we've had a lot of students work on this project for a long time, and Alex has been really involved in that. Do you want to do like a minute-long intro?
Yeah. So the basic premise of it is that we've had a map in the previous iteration of the town plan that showed some sort of very, very general critical wildlife corridors throughout the town. But it was very high level. I mean, it was not very specific, and we've been working to update that for the next town plan. Basically what that's consisted of is us doing camera trapping surveys in a few different interesting corridors around Bristol, and compiling data from them. Our most recent step was meeting with the Planning Commission to talk about areas that we could work with them and what information they could use from us, how we feel like our work could be applied to what they're doing. And I think sort of in my eyes, our next step is tailoring a little bit of what we're doing and figuring out a way to package it in such a way that could be useful to them per what we learned in our last meeting. I guess what I've been sort of thinking about lately, and Max and I were, Max is one of the students that was working on this project with us last year, who's currently working for me. We were talking about this the other day, and the idea of coming up with something of like a mock-up in SketchUp or some such modeling program that we could like do a little bit of an example of what a small scale little bit of property management that could preserve a wildlife corridor throughout it might look like. Because it seemed like we were in our meeting with them, getting something visual that they would enable them to grasp the idea that it's not necessarily incompatible with home building when with certain types of development would be very useful for them. I think that was a bit of a sticking point, and that might be a way to achieve that and overcome that. I think we got to figure out a way to drive that point across with them, that what we're doing is not incompatible with what they're trying to do in expanding housing within the town.
That sounds good. What would that entail to do something like that? How long would that take? What would that look like?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I think what we had talked about was taking like taking an actual property, and I have design software that I can do like basic, 3D models of landscapes and stuff on, and showing like like giving like a before and after of a home build on a small property. Habitats may remain intact, and a leach field around such things, and the actual home build itself and driveways and so on.
Alex, you're really breaking up pretty good
at very
for
early
us.
stages of talking about this, so I'm not exactly sure what.
Alex, you're breaking up pretty good, but I
Yeah,
appreciate your enthusiasm. So that sounds great. What if you emailed us a little bit about that over the next month? And then if you had time, you could start thinking about if you and Max want to work at something like that. That sounds like a nice idea.
Yeah.
And then we also looked at the stuff that we had gotten from the tracking connection. Who was Kristen? I think you were driving that piece of this project. Would you care to talk about that?
Yeah, I think we've gotten to a point where, as Alex summarized, we've gathered some new wildlife tracking information, but maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we had Sophie Mazuita, a professional wildlife tracker, wildlife consultant, give us some ideas for how wildlife information could be incorporated into town planning. And she actually gave us kind of an a la carte cost proposal for different tasks that she could accomplish for us. And we, in the intervening time, we chose to go the Middlebury College route and tap into the free labor of the students, but also, a training experience for those students. But we could circle back now to Sophie's a la carte cost estimate and look at trying to raise funds to hire her to do some additional steps. She was the one that initially compiled existing information for us that the Middlebury College group used as a launching point. And she would be available to us to do things like she could train citizens in tracking so that we could expand our observations. She could host workshops on how to set up game cameras on your own private land. She could generate maps for us that we could include in the town plan 2028 when we're renewing that. So there's a number of ways that we could continue this work with a combination of Middlebury College folks, citizen science, and led by Sophie maybe as a professional wildlife consultant.
That sounds really good. I think it'd be nice if we saw what Alex and Max were thinking about with this mock-up idea, and then we can pull out Sophie's information as well and sort of see, we have a bigger group and think about that next step and see where we can go. I think we'll have some time in May to go over that if people are interested.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Other thoughts on that? Okay, that sounds great. So we'll circle back maybe for that Sophie one, maybe next time we'll actually like have that as one of the agenda items, like go through her document on a shared screen and think about next things we can offer, requests, things like that.
Okay.
And then we'll see what Alex comes up with as well. Okay, does that sound good with everyone? Okay, great. Let's move on to the Timberlands Multi-Trail Partnership. And I think, Roger, you were helping run this one, right?
Yeah, so summary is I emailed Samantha at coolmotionoutdoorsports.com, and she got, but basically we emailed her just kind of asking like, hey, can we be a part of what you're doing? And specifically like, can we see the RFPs or, review the RFPs with you? And she was pretty open to the idea. Quote, it will be great for all involved if we can work in collaboration with the Bristol CC on the project. So kind of what she was talking about is once she gets all the
Oh,
RFPs.
wait. Could you just do a little intro on what this is for the new people?
Yes, hi new people, sorry.
Sorry, I just
So
realized, I'm
it's
sorry to cut you off.
A little intro though, it's like.
A little intro?
Yeah, so A Johnson is essentially, it's not like donating, but like opening up a large portion of the mountain to put a huge trail network for mountain bikes, foot traffic, and hiking,
Yeah.
mountain biking, hunting, things like that. And so they're trying to sort out, they're gonna be essentially building every single trail. And they split it out into zones. And they put out one RFP, but they allowed people to respond just for specific zones, which I thought was interesting. I don't have that zone map up. I have the RFP, but I don't know if it has the zone map. Oh, it does. I could briefly go through that just for people that don't know.
Yeah, let me make sure this Zoom allows it.
Yeah, and I can share my screen if it's allowed.
I think you should be allowed to. I think it's that you can do it.
Now the question is, I always use Google. Share.
Yeah, it's like the green arrow at the bottom.
Yeah, there. And desktop one, that's the one. Does this do infinite? Yes, allow. Does everybody see everything? Okay, awesome. Whatever. So in the RFP, you can see kind of like they split this up into zones. And they came to one of our meetings and went through this in pretty fine detail and went through kind of like all these maps and what the ideas are for these. So you should be able to find a recording on YouTube of all that if you're like super interested. This is kind of like I would say, pretty super rough outline of what the idea is with blue. What blue is multi-use, right? And then black/red hiking. But you can see they're like machine building all this stuff, right? So they came to us and kind of said, hey, this is what we're doing. And we were like, hey, cool, can we be involved? And so to take it a step further, it seemed like they're getting all these RFPs in, that would be nice to get involved at the stage of the responses before they choose a company. One more step back, this is just for the architectural diagrams, the RFP, it's not for any building, right? So the idea is, in theory, you could get one company that just does all the architectural diagrams and everything and plans, and then another company completely do it. Although most likely the architectural firm would be like, hey, and we can do that for you, right? But that's that would be a whole nother RFP for the actual implementation of the plan. So back, I think, to where we were, I emailed them and was just kind of like, hey, can we look at this stuff with you? And she was basically said, yeah, I think it's a good idea. She's got a group already put together that's planning to go through and score each of the RFPs. We still don't like have an idea of like how many came in or anything like that. And so the idea was that after they're scored, they could review them with us, and or we could be a part of the scoring process. This all happened before I had to go out of town for a personal reason. And so since I got back, I haven't followed up. So the last time we emailed was March 13th, I think. And her response at that point was, I'm good with this. I think we should get together, go through this stuff, but I need to check with everybody else to make sure that like everybody's on board and okay with it. So yeah, and I think to the point that was made earlier too, like we're not coming in with like saying, don't do this, don't do that. We're really trying to get an idea of what their plan is, make sure, have some understanding of if the architects are keeping conservation in mind. And given the way that some of the RFP stuff was written, it seems almost mandatory that they do. due to some Vermont state laws, as well as kind of like what they asked for, right? So there is site analysis and assessment. This is a public RFP, so it's okay to be on.
As long as it's public, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, so, and then as far as Act 250, right? So those are kind of the things. But then I think Kristen brought up last time too, like it's not just about soil, water erosion, but it's also about animal life, right? And endangered species that are up there. So yeah. That being said, one thing that I don't think we saw last time that was in the email that came to us was this priority monitoring of wildlife road crossings. And so this is from October 2nd, 2023, right? So, and this is the type of map that it seems like they're using with,
Oh, this is from Sophie.
okay,
This is the tracking connection information we we're just talking about.
okay.
Under the
So
wildlife
that's the
corridor
older one.
project.
Okay, that
Yeah.
was just in that same email I got.
Yeah,
confused.
so this is what Sophie said. We were just talking about Sophie, what she sent.
Yeah.
This is what she wrote for us. So this is the prepared
Okay.
for us about which wildlife trackings there are, and that's what the basis was for the Middlebury student project.
Okay, that's my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah, that was in that same email. I thought.
But
so
I would
they're
also,
looking-
if I could interject, it's also very relevant to the Timberlands project because as you see, the Hogback Mountain there is a highest priority forest block, and there are multiple wildlife crossings along the boundaries of the Hogback property, and that's kind of underscores some of our concerns regarding plans for a multi-use trail on this property is that it's a very high value conservation parcel.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I guess. Yeah, this was like being thrown around as an attachment in the emails coming back and forth, so I think it's at least getting looked at and that is being thought about.
Wait, with
I
the,
believe so.
on accident,
Yeah,
that's funny.
I downloaded like every attachment from like the last 5 emails, so it's quite possible that
I think possibly this attachment came to you, Roger, from Carolyn as a
Yeah, I sent that
preparation
to
for this
everyone,
meeting.
yeah.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, that makes more sense.
Because I didn't think that everyone had even known, wasn't even on the commission, we worked with Sophie, so I want to make sure we all
Okay.
got that out.
Okay.
Nancy, hi.
So yeah, basically that's what I've got. I thought there was new information and I guess there's not really. But for those that haven't seen this before, Nikki and Kieran, this is sort of the stuff that we're going off of to date. And you should be able to get access to this if you are interested in it.
Okay, great.
And then action items is just tomorrow I'll email her back and just be like,
Okay.
you know, what's the status of everything?
Well, sounds good. Other thoughts, questions, comments?
When we left the meeting last month, I noted that I would check in with the landowner, Ken Johnson, about whether or not they would be amenable to the idea of having the Conservation Commission hire an ecological consultant to walk the property, the Hogback property, to provide information about the ecological values that could be taken into consideration when they design their trail system. And I spoke with Ken Johnson on, I believe it was the 14th of March, and we had a really good conversation. They respectfully declined to allow an ecological assessment on their parcel. And they feel that the plan that they have in place that was expressed in the RFP does include environmental impact assessment. And so they would prefer to proceed in that direction. In other words, have their chosen trail design team pursue the environmental site assessment aspects of the project, rather than have a separate entity like the Bristol Conservation Commission hire an ecological consultant to walk the property. So that's the information I got back from that conversation. So I'll be interested to hear how the process has gone for them in reviewing the RFPs. That would be
Yes.
great information to have, Roger.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't get it before we got here. I've just been out of town, so I'll have it for our next meeting, and I'll probably shoot around an email if there's anything that's relevant before then.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen, for doing that work. I know there's been lots of emails about people asking us questions about things and relaying things to, who needs the information. I think that, for the public to just know that it is private land. And although it's part of Bristol and we all have interest in it, we want to make sure that we're respecting the private landowners.
Absolutely. And Ken in that conversation did confirm that he's very willing to have the Bristol Conservation Commission serve as a partner in that process of the design. They're very open to that. I did want to just mention as well that there was a public forum that was held on the 25th of March, and there was an article in the Addison Independent summarizing that. There was also a post to the Front Porch Forum by Ken Johnson summarizing the outcome of that public forum and their commitment to design this multi-use trail in a ecologically sustainable way.
That's great. Thank you for summarizing that. Good idea. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add on this topic? Okay, great. Well, thank you for that. Let's move on then to parks updates. And maybe we'll start with Aiden, if you could introduce yourself and
Sure.
parks update stuff, and then get into the actual updates.
I'm Aiden Lenahan. I work for the Town of Bristol Recreations Department. I am the parks manager. So I steward the parks and work on actions in the parks, project work scopes. And I am a liaison for Recreation Department and the Bristol Conservation Commission. So I attend all the meetings. So parks update. So I just did a large work scope today on the Bristol Town Green. You might have saw a post in the Front Porch Forum around aerating and overseeding the park, and also leveling some precarious spots, we'll call it, low dips, ruts, whatever you want to call it. I call them ankle rollers. Over time, as the park has been used, it's had a little bit of deferred maintenance in terms of aeration and overseeding. And what ends up happening is that the substrate, the turf, it compresses down, and then it kind of chokes off the nutrients and air that the grass needs to be fertile and to seed. And so I took it upon myself to coordinate with Public Works and got a push behind aerator, and I worked with Rockydale Gardens, my former employment many years ago, to acquire seed for overseeding, and that's a conservation mix, which will be done tomorrow. And it's supposed to rain a little bit over the next couple of days, so fingers crossed on that. And yeah, filled out a few holes. I have a little bit more work scope just to finish off tomorrow, some tidying up and what have you. But overall, I think it was successful, and I'm looking forward to it germinating and seeing how it all takes.
Alex wanted me to tell you all that he's sorry he had to cut off quickly, but he's going to look into the mock-up with Max, and he apologized again for being late, so he just texted me. Okay, so what have you done? Any of the other parks updates? That was Town Green, right?
So that was Town Green. Eagle Park. I do a parks check every week for people who don't know. So I check these parks every Friday. Sycamore Park seems to be doing pretty well. The trash is still an issue. I picked up a couple of tires last week and a couple barrels of trash, unfortunately, which is a constant theme I have to deal with. It's less frequent in the colder months and more frequent in the summer months. I have been working and trying to communicate with John Swepson, who is our tree warden, and he's in the throes of pruning fruit trees right now because it's the season. So I haven't been able to connect with him on the larger work scope I sent to you all in regards to a long-term, like 5-year plan for all our parks, which would basically, to summarize, like tree management, pruning, maintenance management. In Sycamore Park, there's not a knotweed work scope that I've been continuing on that I started last fall. Trail management, and then that will help us. That'll be one section of work scope that we can tie into whenever the accessibility work scope comes into play. So just trying to build a longer, more robust maintenance plan for all the parks in general and have it be long-term so that parks manager, myself, tree warden, Bristol Conservation Commission, and Du Bois and King, who will be initiating said accessibility work scope plan for the parks design, that we all are on the same page and moving forward together in a great synergy. So that's what I've been working on. Eagle Park is pretty quiet. It's looking nice. Needs some new picnic tables soon. Memorial Park, as we know, is closed until the accessibility comes into play. When it does, look forward to it being open. I did get a few calls from people who were curious about the signage that I put up last fall, indicating that it was closed. They had a few questions. They're like, "What can I go in there?" And I said, "Well, I can't tell you that. I can't advise you to go in there. I would suggest you not go in there. I'm not going to tell you it's okay because that puts me in a position."
Sure.
So I had 2 of these repeat conversations. Meredith had one. I had a phone call with another person. Like, it's pretty clearly stated. So there is some interest still at Memorial Park. Never a trash issue up there. Maybe some roadside trash, but pretty straightforward. And then, yeah, I think that covers it pretty much.
Okay. Sounds good. Anyone have questions or anything for Adrian?
Is there, like, what's the next phase of the accessibility stuff? What's the next step with that?
So there was, and I was unfortunately sick, so I didn't make it to the select board meeting when they submitted their design with, I believe, a line item budget. I can get some more clarity on that from the administration, but yeah, I reviewed it ahead of time because they had sent it to us all. And it looked pretty straightforward. The things that I had suggested, and Kristen had suggested, we all kind of like came to a consensus that we didn't want anything other than aggregate substrates for walkways and nothing that would potentially go down the river in a flood that would be costly. I think everything else is pretty straightforward. I'm surprised they didn't go for paving the parking lot. But that's just from like an optics point of view for myself, because I feel like if you pave the parking lot to Sycamore Park, that it would make it less nefarious, like,
Yeah.
and access for nefarious
Right,
activity.
Yeah.
It would look more formal. So maybe that can change. I don't know. It remains to be seen. The other designs I thought for the other parks were pretty clear and I think are workable in application.
Speaking of that parking lot, how is it? Is it okay this year so far? Are there any plans to do anything
I
to
mean,
it?
it's gonna need some aggregate. It's compacted and has some ruts from rain, and that was kind of like thinking from a long-term maintenance expense that you would just pave it. Just to save, like, I don't know how, I'd have to talk to Eric Coda, our
Mhm.
public works foreman, to
Yeah,
get a real hard cost on that, but I would think it would make sense just to pave it if you're gonna initiate this other
mhm,
work scope phase to it.
right,
With Du Bois and King,
Right.
so.
Especially if that's an annual cost or whatever to.
Yeah, I mean,
more
I know,
accurate,
I imagine it gets, this will be my first full year in my position for the town, so I'll really have a better
mhm,
long-term view of like how a year looks and when things when
Yeah.
actions are made,
yeah,
in terms of that kind of stuff, so, that's a question I can ask for Eric, and I'm gonna see him tomorrow at the town green,
Mhm.
so.
yeah, I think the sycamore tends to get real bad where it's a problem, and then there's
Yeah.
a big, a really big,
Yeah.
like putting a lot of gravel in, I don't know, all the processes,
Yeah.
they do something, they
Yeah.
close the parking lot for 2 days.
Yeah,
And it's like every
yeah,
several
I
years, it's like
assume they
time to
bring
do
in a
that.
tandem truck full
I don't know the
of
details, yeah.
roadside gravel, and then they hook up the tractor with a hardy rake, and they
Yeah.
make some passes and then compact it and make some passes
Mhm.
and level it out a bit, but I would just think like you would do that part and then you pave it, be done with it,
Yeah.
but, there might be a reason for that, I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Aiden, do you
okay.
know if the railings have been put up at the fishing platform at Eagle Park yet?
That's an Eric question too. I will tap him and see, cause he is the point person for construction and deconstruction of that.
Okay.
Railing apparatus every year. So,
Nice.
I will touch
Right.
base.
Well, we're past that ice out, so it makes sense to.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're at the point where the parks are starting to wake up. And that was the whole reason I wanted to do the town green and get that work scope done. Because it's a little early, but it also invigorated Paul from Scenic Valley. His company came a bit earlier than they normally would and did all the tree rings. And so we kind of worked in this kind of tandem thing. He was just like, oh, well, I'll go out there and I'll take care of the park and get it ready for you. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's like, no problem. And we'll do the tree rings. I was like, I don't want to like shove you off your schedule. And he's like, no, it's fine. So it worked out great.
Nice,
So we're ahead of the game this year.
nice.
Just stay off the lawn for a bit till everything's settled in.
Yeah, okay, that sounds great. There's also the Seth Hill property that is a bit of an enigma, that is not part of what Aiden does on Fridays. Seth
Sure.
Hill is a property that's in Lincoln, but owned by Bristol. The Conservation Commission hasn't had a lot to do with that property. In fact, people didn't even really know it existed on the books for a long time. I would say at least not publicly, widely known. We sort of discovered that it exists. And so now we're trying to figure out what to do with it. So Kristen, you were working on a management plan for Seth Hill, is that correct? Oh, you're muted if you're talking. Kristen?
Sorry, there we go. Hard to take meeting minutes and maneuver my
That's what I
microphone
said.
at the same
I
time.
couldn't, I have so many Zoom windows and the agenda and yeah, totally.
Yes, I'm working on a management plan for the Seth Hill property, just so that we have all of our town parks. We aspire to have a management plan for all of our town parks, and we're well on the way to having those for most of them. So I'm working on one for Seth Hill. It presently already has a management plan in terms of the forest that exists there. There's an active maple sugar bush that is leased out to a resident in Lincoln. And there's a forest there that has other values like board lumber and such, and that is managed by Vermont Family Forest. So there is a management plan that exists for the forest values on that parcel, but we felt that we need to have a broader scope management plan for the full parcel that would detail some of the history and also the who manages the area and where are their active uses, what are the passive uses of that lot, and so forth. So I'm working on that and should have it maybe by this summer. Things are a little busy these days with craziness in the federal government.
Yeah, a lot of people are real busy these days. Makes sense. Thank you for working on that though. And
Do we
then,
want,
oh, go on.
sorry, did we want to, I don't know if is it later on the agenda that we want to talk about actually taking a visit there at Seth Hill?
Yes, that's
Better
the point we're at.
understand.
EA, yeah. Old business, E parks update, and then A is Seth Hill field trip planning.
Okay.
So I had reached out to David Brin, who has sort of been the caretaker of that property. Vermont Valley Forest has had a hand in that space. He said that he would be happy to take a walk with you folks in May or June. Find time for walking at either time, I'm quite sure. He also thought we might want to invite Don Gale, as he is sugaring there and has issues with the deepness of some of the dips and steep access to the USFS lands. And so he said that, yeah, any May or June would work. We suggested maybe a Thursday evening around 5:30, and he thought that was fine if we wanted to pick a Thursday that wasn't the second Thursday of the month, as we talked about last time. So I don't know if people had any Thursdays they want to throw out, and I could offer to him that that would be a good day for us. And I mentioned in the email to look at your calendar. So I don't know if anything pops out at anyone. Like end of May, I'm looking at what is this? Thursday, the 22nd of May, 29th, somewhere later. So maybe we'll have some new members that can join too if they wanted. Let it dry out a bit. What are your thoughts?
May
15th?
22nd, I have an allergy shot at Dartmouth, but I only have to be there for 30 minutes. So I should be
You're gonna be all
back by
broken out in hives though by the time we're walking
Oh,
around.
man.
No, that'll be my 4th allergy shot. I was all broken out in hives in December after flu and then had an ear infection and they prescribed amoxicillin and I had an allergic reaction to that. It was like 8
Mm.
days
Bad
of
cough
waking
on
up
down, huh?
covered in, yeah. So the allergy shots are to prevent something like that from happening.
Okay. So 15th, 22nd, 29th.
I can't do 15, I prefer 22, 29.
Okay, do you want me to throw 22 and 29 out, see if he likes those dates? Would that be all right with everyone?
Yeah,
So yeah, it should be, what time on the 22nd?
We're thinking 5 o'clock, so it'll be late enough after work, 5:30, but still enough daylight to look around a bit.
That should work.
Okay, cool. Well, I will contact David. What I just say, I don't remember those dates I just listed.
22, 29.
Thank you. Again, with the different windows with Zoom and the agenda and my calendar, okay, got it. I'll ask him if either works. I have a strong opinion on 5 versus 5:30 as a start time.
I think 5 is good.
5's good, okay. Okay, I'll ask him if that works. Okay, great. And I'll email about that so we can keep that going. All right, the next thing on Parks Update is Sycamore Park pruning debrief. Jono really runs that, but he's not here. Nancy, could you take a stab at this one? You're muted though.
Yeah, I mean, you were there. We
I know, but I talk all the time. So I just
yes.
listen to me.
And sorry I was late. We trimmed the trees. I think we finished, and then I think Jono said he talked about, did we talk about it last meeting? Did he mention this? I think that he went back and
Emailed
finished.
everyone about it.
But they're all trimmed, and hopefully we'll have a good crop of apples.
Yeah, I went down there. They look great.
Yeah. So it was Nancy.
It was all
and I,
Carolyn and I.
and yeah, definitely, mostly Jono, but
Mostly
then Nancy
Jono.
and I helped, and then we also had our sons help. For a little child labor, everyone always likes that,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. Oh yeah,
Help
so
is
they
a
help pick up the
relative
branches
term.
that we clipped, and then they helped throw them in a big pile for us. Which they got bored and played soccer, and I was like, well, I'll do that. And I'm like, this is a lot of work, actually. That was a hard job we made them do. So
But yes, they look good.
it was good. It was good. Yeah. We're reminiscing about my son being 2 and throwing seed. Remember, Kristen, we had him throwing grass seed down, and now here he is like hauling branches. Like, oh, wait till he's a teenager. We're gonna get some real work out of him, you know?
Yeah. He's a good worker.
It is so cute. They had so much fun playing, picking up the branches and stuff. So it worked out. So the trees are pruned. And Jenna was really pleased with how they're coming along after a few years of really intensive getting in on them. Great. Are we good on the parks? Okay, let's move on to No Mow May, which we want to think about now. This and Green Up Day, although we don't have to talk about Green Up Day yet, but get your brain wrapped around the idea. This will be the last time we get to talk before it becomes May, right? So let's think about where we are in the calendar year and what, if anything, do we want to do with No Mow May? Do we want to rebrand it? And there was an email from Roger about maybe rebranding ideas. Nancy, what do you want to do? Helen was someone that really ran with this idea and did a lot with it. She's no longer on the commission. And so it's really up to us how or if or what is it we want to do and who wants to take the lead on that project. Thoughts?
Okay, well, so the email I sent out in this, I don't like have a dog in the fight. I was just thinking about it basically, is scientific research has said that No Mow May doesn't help anything and actually might hurt things. So as a conservation commission, it does sound cool, like it's fine, but this feedback that it seems like we were getting is nobody does or wants to do it. Not nobody, but not enough people that if it did something, it would make an impact. And it seems like a lot of time and effort on our part to get something together, to get that messaging out there for something that might not even really be what we should be doing in the first place. That being said, I am not an expert. So Mr. Mulvaney there, if you want to weigh in at all, I would definitely listen to your input there. But basically what they were saying is like plant native grasses, if it's gonna be grasses, plant pollinator flowers, and then they link off to like, here's a great low maintenance way to do pollinator flower beds, you know, and things like that. So I was just saying if we did want to pivot, which I'm not wholly advocating for, but throwing it out there, that we maybe go into something that's more about seed distribution and like more information about pollinators than alliteration.
Save the whales. One pollen at a time. What are our
Sorry, I
thoughts?
didn't mean to like totally call you out, but it did seem like you gave your resume. It sounds.
Nancy, what do you think?
I agree.
Thoughts?
I think that the shift to more pollinator friendly versus just not mowing is because I read things as well, and I think the no mow is more like large like grasslands and other like meadow areas versus like just your own lawn. So I think a pivot would be good.
Thoughts?
You know, perhaps giving people suites of options, right? Like these are all individual steps that you can take, because it's very easy for people to get fixated on one particular thing and think that, well, I'm doing No Mow May, so that's all I have to do, right? So, you know, I think if you can just give people different options, be it this is what you plant, this is what you don't mow, this is what you let grow, this is what you get rid of, and you know, people can be making constructive decisions on their own that aren't necessarily just not mowing for May.
Yeah.
It's so easy to not do something though, you know.
Oh, I'm
okay,
great at not doing stuff. I mean, believe me, I strongly endorse that, but as you will find out potentially. But.
Lived here for 10 years, didn't get on the commission.
Doesn't mow his lawn, maybe.
No.
Maybe.
Couldn't walk to Holly Hall.
Just
All
like
right,
mow parts of it.
Sorry, this is why people don't like us and they don't come back again. Okay, we have to be nice.
Oh man.
Okay, so No Mow May. What's our action? What are we doing or not doing? Right? Because we have to make a plan for 20 days.
I motion to kill it.
Okay. Do we want to actually make a motion?
I think so. Unless Nancy does. She looks like she does.
No.
Do we need a motion?
That's what
I
I'm
don't
like
know.
that. The motion sounds so formal. I don't know. That's
It's
why I
just,
was
it
like,
sounds like what people say in a group like this.
No.
I have no idea. Can I advocate for not doing it? It sounds like a lot of work that we don't, who's gonna do it when, like,
Okay. So how about we still, hold on.
I was gonna say, unless somebody else, I don't, and kind of Roger touched on this, like, I don't know enough about it. Like, that's definitely not my expertise, and it's just random Google searches that I've read articles about. So unless somebody I feel like has expertise, then yeah, maybe put it on the back burner and decide how we want to go about. Because I think, the pollinator idea is good. I don't think that should be totally abandoned, but figure out how to present it to the public in a way that's helpful.
Okay, what if, in terms of actionable items, what if we have the No Mow May signs available for people this year who want to do that? Because we have those signs still, right?
Yeah.
And then we think about for next year when we're in the spring, we always turn the corner around January and we're like, uh-oh, Green Up Day is coming, No Mow May. We can at that time think of Green Up Day, but also at that time think about, okay, what do we want to do to promote pollinators, wildflower gardens, etc., like in Bristol this year as a springtime project for next year. Because I don't think we have time to do something right now unless someone has an idea for that. We were talking about, maybe educators, we could bring someone in next year, maybe something like that. Would that be an appropriate response? Yeah, what do you think?
More formal, to get complete support of the town's, the public opinion. I think would be good.
and having time to plan that would be
Yeah.
good.
So let's think about, and then also think about, like education.
We need more time to Google things, because Google never lies.
Put it in chat, see what happens.
No, see what happens.
Just put it in chat GPT.
Discuss.
What is your thoughts about No Mow May?
Mhm.
And then it just at the end says indecisive.
Okay, so we're gonna make those signs that we already have printed available. Nancy, you have those still, is that right?
Yeah.
Great. And you have some of the big ones and the little ones, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So the big ones, we could probably put one in the Smith's yard. That's a big one. They have a very prominent yard and they don't mow it. So that sounds nice. We can volunteer them for a big sign. Anyone else who wants one from our commission, and then we'll have the little ones available for people to pick up. Does that kind of sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you follow up with Zayla to get that sign in our yard?
Yeah. I think they have one. I'll ask her if they still have it.
Okay. I know she really enjoys not mowing, so that's perfect. Okay, that sounds great. So we're good on that for now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, Green Up Day. Green Up Day is me. So I'm the Green Up Day coordinator for the town of Bristol, and have been for a while now, even outside the commission. So let's see. So doing Green Up Day, and I kind of screwed up this year because I have to go to a family wedding on Green Up Day out of state. So, whoopsies. The thing is, that was an accident, and I didn't realize it until just a few days ago when I emailed you all. I went, oh no. So you may have noticed, or it's hard to notice what didn't happen, but I didn't send any Front Porch Forum posts yet because I didn't know what to say. So I talked to Meredith about it. Meredith is the rec department director.
Yep.
And we talked about that for a while. And she said that she can't help pass things out on the green, and Aiden can't because you're doing lifeguard training. And so we don't have anyone that could officially cover a booth on the green. But we can get back to that. Normally I pass out the bags and this way. So let's see.
What's the date? When is this?
The 3rd
of May.
Of May in the morning. So normally what happens is I put the bags out in this box I've constructed where you can pull a thing out and you can sign your name and you can kind of a self-service, take the bags you want. And Green Up Day, does everyone know what Green Up Day is? New people? You good? Okay, great. So Grant Day is where you pick up roadside trash. And so, so I have the bags available, people can send them out. And then Aiden, well, or Aiden's job pre-Aiden, and then Meredith refill that box with extra bags that I drop off so that we have a lot to give out to the public. I also drop bags off at Bristol Elementary School. Every kid in the school goes out and they collect trash all over town. They have the streets divided up by grade level, and different teachers always do the same streets. So they have a whole plan, which is fantastic. This year I was actually able to get prizes for every kid in the school from Green Up Day, so that's special. We got stickers and pencils, which is sweet. And so we have that for those kids. And then sometimes I pass on to other schools or organizations as well, but that's the big one, is the Bristol Elementary School. And then people can pick up those bags all day throughout the week. Friday the 2nd, the town office is closed. So sometime on Friday, I usually pick up the bags, or they don't get refilled, and maybe I get them on what would be the 3rd. In the morning of the 3rd, I come in into the building and I get a folding table and I put it out on the corner by the cannon, and I bring camp chairs and we sit out there. And then when people come up, we might hand them a no mow May sign. We may talk to them about like, be safe out there. Or they ask like, where should I go today? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I heard there was garbage at this pull off or something. And then we sort of send people out. They sometimes report back, but they're not expected to. People can ask questions as long as they want to feel invited into the event, which is a nice reason to have the table. And we answer questions, and people laugh about the weather, and I give out stickers and stuff. And we do that from about, I forgot, 8 in the morning till about noon or so usually. And then we pack up the table, put it back in Holly Hall, and head home. We've done some years without the table. We don't have to have a table. The table's nice. And then everything is due back, or everything, all the trash is due out by dusk on Sunday, March 4th. The roads crew with Meredith go out and they pick it all up at really early on the 5th. So we want to make sure we always message dusk on the 4th. So couple things then. I don't know if we're going to do a table or not. I cannot do the table. I will be out of the state, but I'm happy to explain the table and give you anything you need if you're interested. Another thing we're entertaining is that this year, Meredith asked please to put the bags out on the 23rd of April, which would be earlier, and give us a whole extra weekend. In the past, I've had some people say like they were worried about putting them out early because the bags could get scattered or ripped, which makes it harder for the road crew. But Meredith told me that she is going to be out there collecting the bags, and that's on her if she has to deal with that, because she wants the bags out early. So we sort of came to an agreement there, but I wanted to ask your opinion as well before I told the town we're going to put them out early this year. I think that's all I can think of for my rant right now. Thoughts?
There are already somebody has taken upon themselves to pick up some trash on 116, which is showcasing to public notice.
Yes.
People are acting towards Green Up Day. So
right.
I think that was part of
yeah. Starting at the beginning of April, I start getting emails about where can I get bags.
So,
yeah, that's pretty typical.
When you say put them out, what does that mean?
Put them on the side of any public road in the town of Bristol.
Just bags.
They're green bags. They're special green bags. It has to be in the green bags. Green bags are are exempt from the recycling laws that Vermont passed. So there's actually a addendum to the law that the legislature passed that says if it's in a Green Up Day bag, you don't have to recycle, because a lot of those cans are so nasty. They've been out for so long. It's really hard to get them clean enough to recycle. So that's why you have to have in a green bag. Also, the green bags are billed when they drop them off at the transfer station. The green bags are billed to Green Up Day. And then anything that's in a black bag, some people put like a regular trash bag next to a green bag to indicate like, oh, we ran out of green bags. But when they get separated, the blacks get charged to the town because we were nice enough to bring it in, and then the greens get charged to Green Up Day. So we want to make sure they're in green bags.
Just the money's, it's already paid for, it's all allocated. So if it's not in the bag, then the town gets charged as if it's regular house trash.
Right. And and it's because when you start sorting them through the system, right, the black ones get pulled, or white or clear.
Non-green.
And then Well, and they know as long as it could be an old Green Up Day bag, because there's a hue shift, and we are sure that both count. No, really, I've had to deal with this. So yeah, all the Green Up bags count, and then you can put tires or big metal pieces with the green stuff, and that's fine. Or sometimes people like tie a green bag to like a bedpost they found or something ridiculous, and that's okay. That counts.
Yeah.
But the garbage bags
I'll
don't
live
count.
Yeah, like if you find a bed or something,
Yeah, like if you found a bed, they would take it if you
Yeah.
kind of put a green bag near it. Like, yeah, take this too, you know.
mattress.
Yeah. So I know, how do people feel about putting them out on the 23rd? It's a little earlier, but it gets us an extra weekend. Meredith was thinking if we had 2 weekends of Green Up Day bags, we'd get that much more trash. But there is the fear of like getting them scattered, or just having them sit
I mean,
longer.
they're kind of
I wasn't
robust. I mean, they're
sure.
robust as
thicker than
long
other
as you're not
bags,
like,
yeah.
they're like 4 mil. So like, as long as like you're not swinging them over your head and slamming them on the ground, I think like it'll
Yeah.
be pretty, they'll be fine. Like I said, there's a few sitting on 116 right now in the gully, so
Yeah,
I think and they don't look like they're gonna blast apart at any time
yeah,
soon.
okay.
Rated for
Well,
this
like,
action.
those ones have been there for like a week or so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think they'll be fine.
Okay, cool. So I'll start releasing those out to the town then. I'll bring those over in the morning on the 23rd to get those out, and I can message that appropriately on Front Porch Forum. What are our thoughts about the table? Do we cancel the table? Can someone volunteer to do the table? I cannot
can do
help.
the
I can
table.
tell you how to do it. Okay. I know in the
I've
past.
done it with
Nancy,
you
you've done
before.
that. Yeah.
so.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And maybe we could just do like a phone call and I can tell you like how to get the table from the building and stuff with the passcodes and how you walk through the creepy dark basement and up the dark stairs all alone on Saturday morning when no one's here, that kind of thing.
You'll be just fine.
It's just a little
You just
weird.
have to say good morning, Holly Hall, because of all the ghosts. So they know that you've come in.
They
I
scatter.
mean, I was a little like, I've never been really into the supernatural per se, because I hadn't experienced anything that I felt supernatural. But
Until.
since I've worked at Holly Hall, and you can inquire more about my experience off the meeting time. But
Okay.
yeah, that's all you gotta do is say, good morning, Holly Hall, and then when I leave, as I will leave after this meeting and lock up my office, I will say, good night, Holly Hall, for good reason.
Keep that in mind.
Okay, so
What
Nancy,
time would
back
the
to-
table? Oh, sorry.
That's a great question. I probably have it somewhere in some Green Up Day official form somewhere. I think 8 to 12 is what we've done in the past. I don't recall off the top of my head now that we mention it.
Okay, Nancy, if you want somebody at the table with you, I'll join you.
Please, that would be lovely.
Cool.
Yeah, it's nice for the person not to be alone sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just gets really boring. I've
Yeah,
definitely had a lot of different people rotate through with me usually when I'm sitting there.
Boombox and snacks, as we do for Harvest Festival, like.
Boom, I never even thought to
So,
do, I've never thought to
yeah,
do music,
Just like
see?
keep it.
I have
That's why
a
it's
Bluetooth
vibrant,
speaker.
positive, you know?
It's never occurred to me to do music, you know, that's wonderful. I
Play
love that.
Joni Mitchell Pavement Parking Lot.
Just
you know?
over
like-
and over.
Just keeping the vibe, you know?
That sounds perfect. And yeah, we just want to do that. Like the most important thing for that is that data collection, right? As you know, just writing that down because I always want our data so they can get more grants and sponsors. That's a big deal. Cool. Anything else about Green Up Day? I'll send Front Porch Forum stuff. I'll do all the bags. And Nancy, thank you for running that table. That's really helpful. I have a clipboard and I also have a thing about snacks that I got from Green Up Day. There's a little voucher for 2.5 gallons of water and some healthy snacks from Shaw's to be picked up on the 2nd or 3rd. Nancy, do you want to deal with that? Or Aiden, do you
Sure.
want that?
Say what? Sorry.
It's fine. I
You
got
said snacks and I haven't had dinner yet.
I get that coupon every year for
Oh.
like something from Shaw's on the 2nd or 3rd. And this
Okay.
year says we get a 2.5 gallon jug of water and healthy snacks or some healthy snacks or something. So
What's
I
with the
didn't know-
quotes with the healthy snacks? Are they not healthy?
because often it's like they give us like 1 year and it's very I should be kind that they gave us things, but like 1 year they gave us just like a sleeve of plain bagels and you're like, thanks, I guess.
Yeah, they gave my youngest daughter at the 4th of July what they had left for meat stick Slim Jim things.
Okay.
And they basically like, here, we're at the end of the line, so here you go, kid, and there's like 50 Slim Jims.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
we're
just like,
wow.
it's like really random. Like one year that was the 50th anniversary Grow Day. So they were giving out these like cakes that were like the tiniest, like little, like, I mean, it was like a salad plate or smaller. And there'd be like, 50 volunteers, like, we did it. It's like the world's tiniest cake. So it's always humorous. You never know what Shaw's is going to give you as the snack that year. It's unknowable and not something we really count on to bring the party, but is a nice gesture, I suppose.
Yeah, just send me a reminder and I'll pick them up and I'll just stage them.
Okay.
And then,
Or do you want Nancy to put that on the table, or do you want to do it for like the hub or something if you just want to take them?
it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm happy to pick them up if you need me to.
Okay.
And then I'll just stage them in the foyer or something and you can come and get them.
Okay, Nancy, what would you prefer as the keeper of the table?
I mean, it does. Well, I really just, it depends on what the snack is, If it's
We
plain
have no
bagels,
way of
then,
knowing.
we
It
can
could
just,
just be like a whole watermelon with no knife. Like, we don't know. It could be anything.
You want people at the
Dig
table
in.
to have snacks at the table.
Could be like watermelon and a bunch of Red Bulls.
No, that's how we
Go
attract
get to
pickup.
it, yeah.
That's right, that's
That
right.
sounds good.
Okay, well, anyhow, so I'll drop off the coupon for the snacks, when I do the bags, okay?
Okay, yeah, just.
Okay. And then Nancy, I have
Okay,
something new
fine.
for the table this year. They gave me a table stand that pops up that's laminated that says to be careful about meth labs. I don't know if meth labs are on the rise or if we just got a nice table piece for it this year. I'm not sure which is true. So you
Nice.
might just want to have it on the table just in case.
Just saying like, don't
That's
green
awesome.
up too close to a meth lab.
It
Like, what's the
tells you what a
messaging?
meth lab looks like and asks that you don't green
Go
up
near that.
the meth lab and then maybe tell
What?
someone about it if you see it. Yeah.
they must be
That's
having
a very-
problems if they made a sign.
I know. I don't know if there's
Yeah.
problems here specifically, but it must be a problem. Otherwise they wouldn't have laminated it. And it has this like cardboard backing so you can put it up on the table. So
Okay.
I'll give you all that stuff.
Play that prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll give you all the stuff at or maybe I'll drop it all off at Holly Hall. So then it'll be in that staging area that Aiden can give you. That'd be perfect. And then we'll just talk about all the nitty gritty stuff. That's wonderful. Anyone else about Green Up Day? Things I should think about? I'm going to start sending out Front Porch Forum reminders. I'll put the announcement up with this information. Oh, the posters. Aiden, did you or Meredith get, I
I've
gave you the
been filling
posters.
them out, yes.
You've been filling them out. Fantastic. Thank you.
They
Okay.
will be staged as well.
Are you going to hang them up ahead of time?
Oh, yes, I will hang them up.
Not staged, hung up.
I'm sorry, yes,
Staple them in
sorry,
somewhere.
I'm multitasking.
That's okay. Okay, that sounds great. Other questions about Green Up Day? Are we good on that? Thank you for your help with that. I'm sorry I had to go to a wedding for my husband's cousin, which I'm sure will be fun, but I do feel bad that just like, I'm like, yeah, whatever, calendar. So sorry about that. Okay, education outreach. I think Zaylee was working on this mostly. Anyone want to talk about education outreach? Do you want to table that? Okay, it's tabled. Great. And then let's see, website. I also did website stuff. So I reached out to the town administrator to get the website updated, and it should be good to go. Website, web page.
Yeah.
So let's see. We should have everyone's term up to date now. We still have the old commissioner roles on there with, it says Zaley is clerk, Kristen is vice chair, and I'm chair. But we'll so next meeting then we'll pick those roles and then we will update that. The same if they're whatever, and then vacancies as well. We can hopefully update that once we have new members that are approved by the select board. We'll also update that. I think that was everything we updated. Oh, and we also did the annual reports are now updated through 2024 so our most recent report was saved as a PDF and uploaded to the main document. So it's all integrated into one document now. So it should be easy to read.
I have a question about the
Mhm.
website. It's always really hard to find the Zoom link because you have to like go to that page and then go to the calendar, and the calendar on this site is janky, and then the link
Oh.
on the calendar is incorrect.
I had no idea that was even a thing. I always just
Oh.
used the one on the agenda.
Yeah, but like, you don't have the
Oh,
agenda, or if we're saying it's open to the public, I think having it just a
I didn't
link
even know there
on
was a calendar.
the website. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Okay.
Because
that
whenever I
sounds great.
freak out that I can't find it, I go to this web page and then I can't find it here too. So yeah, the only place to find it is on the web page. If you click the word second Thursday, you go to a calendar, which is I guess the town calendar, and I can complain to
No
whoever
way.
runs this website about what that is. And if you click on us, you see how like it does that horrible thing.
Oh,
So in there
interesting.
somewhere, that link is a link, but the code
Yeah.
is wrong. So it's pretty
Yeah.
misleading.
Okay, cool.
If this is how we're.
I did not even know that was on there. Yeah, okay, cool. So we'll have Ian look at that. Thank you for
I
that.
think just sticking it like right on the
Yeah,
page, you know.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we want to update the link and add the Zoom link. Beautiful. Okay, that sounds great. And Ian Allison's been updating that since before he was even, I think, associated with the town. He somehow wormed his way into helping us with that. So now he's extra in charge of it. I think that's everything. Any other website thoughts? Web page, I should say. That's really wrong on there. Thoughts? No? Great. Events then. Oh, you know what? We never talked about parks. We never talked about work days. Do we just want to do that at our May meeting? Do we need work days? Shoot. Anyone? Thoughts? No thoughts.
I don't think I know what a work day is.
Oh, for the work days. So here's work day ideas we usually do. We usually do a Sycamore Park Day. I'm sorry. Is it possible to backtrack to parks updates? Agenda item E.
We're
Kristen,
so
are we okay
close.
with that? We're so close. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But we should do this in an April meeting though.
Yeah.
We should think about what work days we need. So like the pruning of the trees day, that was like a little work day we did. We often do a Sycamore Park Day where we work on the garden or fix the kiosk or take sticks out of the yard so the mowers can come, or I don't know what else we do over there. Then at Eagle, we often help with the pollinator garden. That has been a little odd the last year or two because of the construction. So I'm not sure we stand on that one. So those are the two that come to mind immediately. We usually do something with those. Kristen, what do you think about that? You're muted though.
Yep, just slow to get to the mic. Eagle Park, the size of the pollinator garden was dramatically reduced when they did the construction and installed the split rail fence. I kind of like how it is now because it's a little easier to maintain, but there's just a skinniest little pollinator garden there. I think we discussed last fall that we would see how it weathered the construction and revisit it this year. So maybe we would want to just have a day where we meet out there and wander around and think about what needs attention and then make a plan.
Okay.
That's good.
So Eagle Park, so do you want to hold one of our meetings at Eagle Park? We did that once, but the mosquitoes were really bad and was sort of miserable.
Yeah, if we can do it on weather permitting, like in.
Yeah, well, or we did once where we did like a 5 o'clock Eagle Park walk and we did a 6 o'clock meeting. We could do that.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Is there interest in that? Do you want to do that for our May meeting, like 5 o'clock at Eagle Park, if you can make it, and then walk around at 6?
Yeah. What's the date of that meeting again?
Yeah, that's a great, I was
Yeah.
just thinking that. I was like, uh-oh, what did I just agree to?
In May,
It's the
Is
8th.
the-
May 8th.
but isn't that the annual meeting that we just moved to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the
Do
meeting
that.
would be at 6.
Outdoors?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just do the
quite a
outdoor
few-
meeting. We're okay with that?
We've had quite a few outdoor meetings.
Yeah, we just have to tell,
I
they
think
prefer if
weather
we
permitting.
tell, they just prefer if we tell Neat
Neat
TV.
TV. Yeah.
And they get like a GoPro when they film it.
Okay, so how do you do this stuff? The
We
like
don't.
virtual, so it has to be in person.
Yeah.
Okay, I will not be there. I'm
Could we
gonna be in
do-
Georgia, so I was,
Could we do a 5 o'clock walk at Eagle Park to look at the pollinator garden? And then at 6, we just have the meeting, like on Zoom, in person, whatever. Could we do that? So we do like half an hour, 45 minutes, walk around, talk about Eagle Park, and then we have the meeting
then
at
make it back
6.
here.
Yeah, would that work okay?
Yeah,
Works
Okay.
fine for me.
Okay, cool. So so add that as an event is May 8th. We'll do a 5 PM Eagle walk.
and
Great.
there will be weeding that needs to happen, so if people want to bring gloves with to the meeting, that would be great too. There's bound to be, what do you call it? Not sycamore, sumac, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
there's sumac rooting there and Japanese knotweed, so we can do some
Okay.
weeding. Yep,
So let's call that a May 8th, 5 PM Eagle Park walk-in weed.
walk and weed, yep,
And walk-in weed, and then we'll leave at 5:45, zip over, and then do our meeting. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, and then we can think about other work days or work needs at that main meeting. Does that sound okay?
yep.
All right, lovely. So that sounds great. Our next meeting will be the second Thursday of the month, which is May 8th from 6 to 7:30. And we'll have that in Holly Hall with a Zoom option. Or at least I'll run to Holly Hall so we can start the Zoom option up. And we'll see who can make it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, this sounds fun. Does anyone want to make a motion? Oh, sorry, before we make a motion, any new people, questions? I sent the link in the chat to the volunteer forum. Nikki, Karen, did you see that?
In the chat?
Yep.
No, I just see iPhone 3's message in the chat.
Okay. Oh, did you leave for a minute and then you came back? That would erase it from your chat. Here you go. Now it's back in there again.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. So you want to fill that out. There's also paper copies in the front office if you want to walk into Holly Hall and do that, or you can print out or maybe fill out a copy of the PDF reader editor and then send that to the clerk.
Okay, great. Awesome.
And the sooner you do that, the sooner we can get you on the agenda for the select board and you can interview with them and they can appoint you if they're going to, which they usually.
Okay, great.
Cool. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you had some interest and you made it through the whole meeting. I mean, right there, looks pretty good. And then, okay, now, sorry for the tease, about 6 extra minutes, but now are we ready for a motion?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
The motion carries, the meeting is adjourned. All right, see ya in
Nice
see you at
meeting you.
Eagle Park for the walking weed.
Nice meeting you,
Bye.
folks.
I'll meet
Thanks
you
very
guys
much.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and green up day.
It's
See
like
you,
when you're
Kristen.
talking to your mom on FaceTime and you're like, all right, bye. And I hit the button.
Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong one. Yeah. Now we're done.